The result was contests with massive penalty counts as teams learned exceedingly slowly that they had to do things like attempt to make it look like you tried just a bit to put your foot on the ball when you roll it backwards after a tackle. Heads were being called for and the narrative became infuriating for almost everyone in and around the game until the shackles were relaxed midway through the season. Teams picked up the slack and referees were allowed to use some of the discretion and judgment that had them doing the job in the first place. Loading. If the plan comes together under new head of football Graham Ansley, that should be the mantra from the opening round. Referees have been told to rule on what's in front of them, not on higher orders, and new rules should be able to help them in their duties. Sometimes, it's just the little things. Players must now head for the nearest exit, running not walking, if they are given 10 minutes to think about life in the sin bin. Previously, you could have made a cup of tea and been back on the couch by the time they had left the field of play. And under the changes released just before Christmas, tackles that look and smell like a shoulder charge, yet somehow aren't a shoulder charge, can be categorized as dangerous contact, a move sparked by the Billy Slater charge that almost saw him miss the grand final. Loading. Slater was able to beat the shoulder charge allegation on a technicality, but it was peak NRL as half the sporting nation tuned in for the verdict. But with an either-or scenario as their only option, the NRL wasn't able to prove that Slater's contact on Sharks winger Sozia Feki fit the strict definition of a shoulder charge. Now, the game has the ability to recategorize such tackles as dangerous contact, which would only carry a 100-point grading, unlike a shoulder charge which always starts with a 200-point base penalty. It gives everyone some wiggle room. If a player had no loading, they could enter an early plea and be free to play. In Slater's case, it would have avoided the hugely dramatic judiciary hearing just a few days before he was to play his final game of rugby league. It all smacks of that rare commodity that is common sense, although if any sport can find a way to make things unwieldy and obtuse, it's rugby league. At the very least, some of the new tools and interpretations may help reduce the caustic, concerted and ridiculous verbal assaults that referees had to endure for much of last season. Rugby league has endured through difficult times in Australia because the game tends to be its own salvation, delivering entertainment and exhilaration often in spite of itself. Let 2019 be the year where we can appreciate the skill and talent without the superfluous lashings of confected outrage. Phil Lutton, sports reporter.